Rip it up.
Mike Bauer from the United States Concealed Carry Association is on next.
But first, a lot of companies are frustrated with their website. It looks old, it's out of date, and it's just not getting customers. Well, SageTree gets it. Since 2005, SageTree has been helping companies with websites that look great, work great, and get leads. Stop being frustrated by your website and get one that you're proud to share. Contact SageTree today to get a website that makes the phone ring. Getting started is easy. Call 866-728-9100. That's 866-728-9100 and fix your website. So, young lady, why don't you tell us who Mike is?
I would love to tell you. Mike Bauer is the Regional Manager for Delta Defense, the service provider to the U.S. Concealed Carry Association, also known as USCCA. In his position, Mike continues to grow, develop, and distribute the life-saving training and education that USCCA offers within his territories. In addition to his career at Delta Defense, Mike is an inventor, public speaker, a father who has grown his training, education, and knowledge of firearms into one of his most important roles, his family's first line of defense. You can call him at 262-339-3386.
I just want you to know, Mike, that's the first time we've ever had anybody do an intro on a guest.
Yeah. Well, she did an amazing job.
She did an amazing job. So congratulations.
I think it's the first time we've ever had somebody on this side of the mic that can read.
Well, there's that too.
All right, let's go.
How you doing, Mike?
I am doing excellent. I couldn't be more happy to be here today.
He's over there laughing his butt off. I love it. So,
well, I'll be honest. I'm laughing because the first part started me off saying I'm an inventor. And goodness gracious, I wish I could be an inventor. I am an investor, though. But, I feel like it'd be way cooler.
I was promoting you, Mike. I was giving you more credit.
I was going to ask you, what did you invent? I couldn't wait to.
All right, looks like I got to take back that Ken Reed comment.
Yes, you do.
You're supposed to run with it, Mike. Come on, I was trying to give you some props here.
I've invented a lot of things in my life. Most of them I've never heard of. So.
There you go. I love it.
Those are the best
Way
kind.
to own it.
How are you guys tonight?
Good.
Excellent. So talk to us about, so USCCA is one of our sponsors. We're so happy. You guys have been so supportive.
Awesome.
You guys have been enormously supportive of San Diego County gun owners, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's kind of hand in glove. San Diego County gun owners was solely responsible for getting CCWs in San Diego, before the Bruin, well before the Bruin case. And you guys are, if you're going to carry, you need to have a product like USCCA. So talk about USCCA. What's important about USCCA?
Sure. So I know a lot of guys are repeat listeners for what you guys do, but the short version of the 30,000-foot view, the USCCA, we serve over 680,000 responsibly armed Americans across the entire U.S., people who are choosing to be their family's first line of defense. We want to make sure that people are not only educated and trained, that membership also includes some self-defense liability insurance along with that. The main thing, as you guys would agree, is making sure that, look, if you just have a firearm, that is not enough to be able to protect your family. It's just a tool. You need the knowledge, you need the training, and that's where USCCA steps up to make sure that we meet people where they're at and be able to bring them to the next level.
Now, it feels like that gun ownership today is so different than it was 20 years ago, so different than it was 40 years ago. It's definitely there's an evolving experience when it comes to gun ownership, don't you think?
I'd agree. I mean, I'll speak from my own experience. I didn't grow up in a firearm household by any means. I didn't get into firearm ownership until I was, in my 20s. And so for me, when I first started having my family, even from where I started with the training and with the firearms that were available now to what are available, or then I should say, until now, it's really evolved even in 10 years. So I can't even imagine just stringing it out even longer.
So what do you think that evolution is? What's different, today than 20, 30, 40 years ago?
I think that the internet has certainly sped a lot of things up. I think that it's much more difficult to be ignorant when it comes to really anything. But one thing that I would say continues to be there is, even though the training and the education that you can get online or in person has gotten better, we got to make sure that we find the right people, we find the right resources, because now it's kind of a free-for-all. So you've got a lot of people that are out there that are claiming to be, high speed, low drag, or maybe they know how to train, or maybe this, maybe that. But when you have so much, it can almost be just as difficult as back then when you didn't have as many and it was harder to find.
Well, and I think that the knowledge, like the average gun owner 30, 40 years ago had a lot of knowledge around guns, but it was different knowledge. 20, 30 years ago, they could tell you, what load was best for, hunting a deer. Whereas these days, it's completely different. You have to be able to draw from concealment, put shots on target. It's a completely different skill set. And I think that the average shooter, I'm not even sure there is an average shooter anymore. Is there an average gun owner? Does that even exist?
Good question.
I think that, the demographics are so different. Men, women, young, old. I think the only thing that kind of gels them together is, like I said, they're not hunters anymore. They're doing it for self-defense. It's really far more, the gun ownership world really has a lot more to do with self-defense. I don't know. Don't you think?
I would agree. What's funny is, so for those of you who aren't aware, I actually live in Wisconsin. That's where the USCCA headquarters is, in West Bend, just north of Milwaukee. And so for anyone who's familiar at all with Wisconsin, other than the Packers and cheese, there's a lot of hunting here. Yeah. But as I brought up before, I didn't grow up in a hunting family, but I was surrounded by these people hunting season was its own holiday this time of year. And so people would know all these things about rifles. But when I got into it, when I went to ask for help about, people around me, there were very few people who knew anything about concealed carry, and even fewer that actually, had their license and did it day to day. So I would agree with you. There was the having the rifles and shotguns for hunting and that sort of thing. That came first, was much more prevalent over the last 30, 40 years.
So I don't know how you grow up in Wisconsin and don't hunt. Like, you must have been did you like the entire month of November, you must not have had a single conversation with anybody.
Well, I didn't have a lot of friends in high school, so no, just kidding. So what actually happened for me is my father actually lives overseas, so stay in close contact with him, but he lives over in Europe, which they're not super fond of carrying firearms, I would say, in majority. And I had I was raised by a single mother who was a professional psychologist turned psychology professor before she, retired after 25 years of that. And, psychology professors at colleges, they're not really well known for being into firearms either. So for me, I just, there were people around me that hunted, but I just never got into it. I guess, skateboarding drew my attention at that age.
There you go. Well, I'll tell you a quick Wisconsin story. I actually years ago, I had to go there for my grandmother. My family's from Wisconsin. I had to go there for my grandmother's funeral. And we were outside of Marshfield. You know where Marshfield is, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So we were outside of Marshfield, and my wife, who was born and raised in San Diego, was with me, and she's, we're passing by. In Wisconsin, there's a bar about every 50 feet, right? And so we're
maybe less.
So we're passing by bar after bar after bar. We're driving, and I see her turning her head and looking in the parking lot of every bar that we pass by. They had a flatbed trailer. And it was full of pelts, because it was right in the middle of deer season, and they'd clean the deer, and then they donate the pelts, and I think they were donating them to local Indian tribes, and they'd actually make stuff out of them. Anyway, she was like, "What is that?" And we told her what it was. She was like, "Oh my gosh, well, aren't they going to get all spoiled and gross and spoiled?" And I was like, well, it's 5 degrees outside. Like, you'd have to get into a refrigerator to warm up. So they're going to be just fine. But the look on her face, and we did actually get to see the deer strapped to the hood of the old pickup truck. We're driving through downtown. Oh, it was awesome. I was so happy. I was so proud. So proud of my Wisconsinite brethren. But anyway.
Man, as a father now, I always cringe when you see that at the stoplight and the school bus pulls up next to it. It's like, well, getting an education today, I guess.
But even in Wisconsin, a lot of your gun shops that I've been to, it's very self-defense based. There are more. I think during hunting season, there are more people with guns than. I think it's like the second or third biggest army in the nation or something like that during hunting season. So, but even in a hunting rich state like Wisconsin, there's still a huge emphasis on self-defense.
I'd agree with that. We partner with a lot of those ranges, and I would agree. The majority of people that are coming in these days, They're not looking for, they're not looking for the ballistics of a rifle, shotgun, or anything like that. Instead, they're looking for the things that will be able to save them either in their own home or out in the real world when they're not in the woods. So I would say that I see that same commonality.
Well, that's awesome. What else do people need to know about USCCA?
There's definitely a really good reciprocity map that I think that you guys actually are giving out. That if you want to give the link to that, that's the best place where people can go and learn a lot more about us.
I just, that the reciprocity map on your website, I just used it. I went from I have a Utah CCW and a California CCW, and I went to Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Nevada, and then of course back to California. And I just plotted my course. Said here's what I got. Here are the 2 CCWs I have. Here's where I'm going, and they'll tell you. Well, here's where you can carry, or here's where you can not carry, or here's the differences between California carry and wherever you're going. It's an extremely useful tool.
You know what's also helpful though, in addition to the reciprocity, on the reciprocity map, you can actually scroll down. And even if you don't have a permit, you can actually look up the storage and transport and the different gun laws within each state. So even if you don't have a permit that applies to whatever state you're passing through, you can look at whatever the rules or the laws are for the situation that you're in for the state you might be going through. They may not acknowledge your permit, but you can see what the parameters are for what you need.
Yeah.
So you learn something new every day.
Every day.
Well, and Mike, let me ask you something. Your insurance doesn't just cover firearms, right? It covers all forms of self-defense if you have to protect yourself, correct?
That is correct, yeah. And now I know that obviously the radio program is live, but there's a lot of people that are going to listen to this on the back end. So the best way that you can take a look and see some of the specifics in case things change, but if you go on uscca.com. But as it stands right now, it is not specific to firearms. You are absolutely right, and that's both for the training and the insurance.
Well, and I think that's a big call out, right? I think just because we have to protect ourselves, everybody thinks firearms because that's what we specialize in, but it does cover everything.
Yeah, I like to call it CCW insurance, but it's not really. If you're a gun owner, you need some kind of protection. You've made the decision that, hey, I might have to defend myself one day. If you've done that, then you've made the decision that I might have to hire an attorney one day. So check out USCCA.
All right. Well, we're going to keep him over for the next segment, right? What I heard.
Yes.
So I'll tell you what, Mike, go get a new ski brat, and we'll talk to you when we come back. PRMI Mortgage, primeres.com/Alpine. Hey, if you're looking to buy, refi, or if you're just considering a reverse mortgage, call our local mortgage guy that you can trust. Call Chris Wiley at PRMI Mortgage. For nearly 25 years, Chris has been helping local San Diegans with all their mortgage needs. They make it easy. They'll work with an efficient, friendly, expert team that will help you get the best deal on a mortgage. Call Chris Wiley at 619-722-1303 or primeres.com/Alpine. All right, we're talking to Mike Bauer from USCCA. And I got to tell you, Mike, the whole break, all we talked about were Newski's cheddar brats.
Newski's brats there.
And that's all your fault, Mr. Schwartz.
Oh, yeah. Have you been to the Newski's headquarters?
I'd be lying if I said that I did, but I don't think they're very far away from me, actually.
They're not. It's on the way to Green. You're right there.
Gone? Oh, my God.
It's like Mecca, man. Well, except the complete opposite of Mecca.
Yeah.
It's all pork products.
Yeah, it's all pork
but
very good.
But to an early death.
It's I went there. We went to see a Packers game. We went to season opener. They were playing the Bears, and they beat the Bears, and we were.
Of course we did.
We were getting.
We had to celebrate
100th year anniversary. So we're going out. We're leaving, and you go right past the Newski's headquarters there, and it's this old wooden shack. And you go inside, and it is beautiful.
The food is amazing.
The cool thing is, though, there was a pickup truck after pickup truck full of apple wood. That they just, like, these farmers just cut down this apple wood and go sell it to Newski's.
Sure.
So you know it's real. Anyway,
cool. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I think it's like one of those things where when you have it so close to you, you never go to it. But like, if it's across the country, you can say I've been there 6 times. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like going to Buc-ee's.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Just like Buc-ee's.
All right, I guess it's kind of like that.
All right.
Sauerkraut on your brats. Wait a minute. Now, what is your favorite brat? Being from Wisconsin, are you a Johnsonville or are you a Newski's guy?
Uh-oh.
Oh man, this is gonna get me in trouble. I do like Johnsonville. I can't lie. They're really good, and
hang up the phone.
They show up a lot.
Next guest.
Jeez.
And cut.
Hey, okay, Mike. I got to go one step farther. Do you have a Denny's back in Wisconsin? Do you have Denny's?
We used to have Denny's. I think they all went out of business.
Well, Michael is gourmet when it comes to Denny's because he likes their spaghetti.
Yep. Best spaghetti I've ever had.
Oh.
Best spaghetti he's ever had. It turns every Italian restaurant green when he says that. So you're going to have to Monday or Tuesday.
With envy.
Yeah, with envy.
Green with envy.
Monday or Tuesday, go get yourself a cheddar brat and crawl in front of the TV and have some fun.
There you go.
All right, let's get back to
we
the
talk about
business at hand.
So talk a little bit. So USCCA has also, they're kind of getting into, I don't know if how prepared you are to talk about this, but it's extremely interesting to me that they're kind of getting into politics too. I think aren't they setting up a like a PAC and they're going to start endorsing, or have they endorsed in this election? Or are you allowed to talk about that?
I can dive into a little bit of it. I'll be straight with you. It's not my area of expertise, but I do have a little bit that I can speak to. So there is a political action committee that's called the USCCA for Saving Lives, and it's simply working to advance interests of responsibly armed Americans like you and I, just to keep families safe. So there's support there for candidates and policies that promote and protect law-abiding Americans, and just basically looking for keeping that natural-born right to self-defense. I think that if you would compare it to the 4 items that you guys listed from the San Diego Border Guide of the two-way stands, and then the other 3, they're going to go pretty hand in hand the majority of the time. But again, if you're looking for more information on that, you can actually go online. It's USCCA4SavingLives.com for much more in-depth information on that.
And with the Bruin case that came out that basically made everybody shall issue and got rid of a bunch of subjective, ridiculousness when it comes to issuing carry permits, what has USCCA seen in the last 2-3 months since that came out?
Well, I'll tell you this. So, as the regional manager, up until recently, we just brought on some more people, which is great. And there's now 7 of us nationally. Up until recently, I overlooked the entire eastern half of the U.S. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that really surprised us, we were definitely prepared for it, but it still was just mind-boggling, was the amount of people getting Maryland permits of all places. I'd imagine it was probably similar to you guys when all of a sudden you could start getting these permits in certain counties. It's just a flood of people that are now going, finally, I can protect myself outside of my home as well. So I think that if there was any one thing that really was like very noticeably different, man, that part of the country, that little spot in Maryland, significant amounts of people just flooding to get CCW permits and getting their training.
That's interesting. So a bunch of people in Maryland, they can finally get a CCW for the first time. That's awesome. Good for you, Marylanders.
The old crab cake.
Yeah, I'm proud of you guys. So what do you think? What do you think? I don't see any signs of it slowing down either. I mean, we barely touched. It feels like, and I really think that all these folks who can finally get a permit and can finally defend themselves outside of the home, this isn't just a legal thing. We're going to see a cultural shift, kind of in the same way, the first 100, years of the country, you had people who carried, and it was just a part of them because they were hunters, because that's how they would put food on the table. I think over the next 100 years, you're going to start to see a cultural change where people carry to protect themselves. It's just what they do. It won't be weird and exotic.
I definitely agree with that. It's kind of funny. We have my 20-year-old niece who's staying with us for a month while she's doing some internships here. She's my father, as I said, is overseas, so she's actually from Austria. And it's kind of funny just watching her because she's been here before and we've shot before. But it's so funny when she comes here from the beginning. She's here one more week. She's here for a month. And just watching in that short amount of time, her comfortability around firearms. We're going to go shooting again next week. it changed pretty quickly just through some very, very basics. So I think you're right. I think more people that get into this, more conversations that we're having just like this and just normalizing it, I think that that's going to continue. And I think it's going to be much faster than most people are expecting. And I think that's for the better.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm already just so excited about it. I mean, it's just becoming so normal. I was talking to a guy yesterday. We had one of our shooting socials yesterday for the University of California, San Diego, have their Marksmanship Program. Jimmy Farr put that together, and he's passing the baton on to a guy named Max, who I met for the first time yesterday, and we helped out with their shooting social and teach people how to shoot. It was awesome. One of the mentors said, "Hey, I just wanted to say thanks. Finally got my CCW," and we talked about it for a little bit, and I remembered it was almost anticlimactic. I got my CCW, and it was kind of like, all right.
Now what?
Yeah, here I am, And then I remember about 2 months after carrying, I had to go to the grocery store for something, and I wasn't, I'd taken it off or whatever, and I was headed out the front door, and I remember putting my hand on the doorknob and thinking to myself, if this is the time and I decided not to carry, I will never forgive myself, especially if I could have done something and had I, but didn't or couldn't, and bam, turn right back around.
Right.
And that was it. I realized, okay,
It's like forgetting your car keys.
Truly, it's like wallet panic at this point,
I don't care about that.
So, well, yeah.
Nothing in there.
There's nothing in there.
Nothing in there.
Just some baseball cards.
Yeah.
And, but it's important now. It's something. It's become it's a change in mindset.
Do you ever have that too, where you think of, I think the only thing that would be worse than not having your firearm and absolutely needing it to protect yourself, family, or loved ones. But for me, I always wonder, it would be so much worse if that happened, but then someone else had a firearm, but they weren't prepared or trained even to, the level that I feel I'm at. Do you ever get feeling like that, where it's like, oh man, this is like the worst karma?
I don't, because I'm spectacular with a firearm, but I would imagine people that are less or even average would probably, that would run through their head.
Pretty cool. 3 people threw up at the same time.
Well, and that's my point too, where, imagine if you forgot your firearm and then someone else was there and they did have a firearm, but they just weren't prepared and they weren't trained. That to me was like,
shooting holes in the ceiling kind of mentality.
Yeah.
Oh, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Mike, talk about the training resources that you guys offer being a USCCA member, because I know you get a lot that goes along with that membership. And I feel like the training aspects that you guys offer are something that are very, very unutilized, right?
I would agree with that. So, as you said, they're pretty vast. We could go on about this for a significant amount of time. I won't. But some of the stuff that you can do is, we have a YouTube channel where there's tons of free information that's there. USCCA members have 3 different levels of qualification that they can go through. And the short version of that is ultimately it's very, very intensive online e-learning where you're going through, you're watching videos, and at the end of that, you're actually brought to a USCCA partner or trainer where they can make sure that you actually retain that information through additional in-person training. As we all know, there's a huge difference between watching a video online or reading an e-guide and all these things that are available, and then actually putting that into practice. I know for me, there's a huge gap. There's a huge difference. And so ultimately, all of this is to be able to better enhance that in-person training, which, again, we have hundreds and thousands of partners and instructors nationwide that can then get you to be able to level up wherever you're at.
You guys have some partners in San Diego too, right?
We certainly do, yes.
Any of them you want to call out?
I would love to, but...
Am I putting you on the spot right now? I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, keep in mind, I overlook the entire East Coast, so if you started wanting me to...
You're supposed to know this stuff, Mike. I'm just saying.
Discount gun minus one.
Well, for Pete's sake,
that are in that area that I would definitely push it towards.
Didn't know you were going to be called up to be abused.
I'm sorry, Mike. That's all my fault.
Yes, it is.
Well, Mike, you've been awesome, and I really, truly appreciate. Let everybody know, because you're right. You're right next to headquarters. Their headquarters right there in Wisconsin. No, USCCA.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll let both headquarters. Let USCCA know how much I appreciate them, and then let Newski's know how much I appreciate them there at their headquarters.
Come on, go get a cheddar.
But San Diego County Gun Owners, you guys have been wonderful to us, so thank you so much.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 AM. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.